Hi, lovelies. On this episode of I Start First podcast, I get to chat about an amazing opportunity that Rizzo took, where she took her hobby and turned it into her full time travel guru style business. She's going to share all the tips on why you should travel, how you can make money while traveling, how you can become a travel blogger if you're so inclined to do that, and more than that, that you don't need opportunities to hold you back because there are so many angles that you can take on traveling and still build your empire. So excited to talk to all of you. Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes off the ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to uplevel your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Welcome, ladies, to another episode of I Start First podcast. I'm so excited. Someone who we have today is absolutely amazing. I've watched her grow myself into this travel mogul, empire building, total, badass millennial. So without further ado, please welcome Rizzo.
Hi, thanks for having
Hi.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us more, tell them a little bit about your story. How did the whole, travel bug got into you?
So I literally love to travel so much, but it did start from a young age. I feel like naturally, as a kid, I was booking like the family trips and stuff. So my mom used to give me her credit card, which is crazy to give like a 12-year-old, and I would flip through like the timeshare books and like I would back then. The major websites were Hotwire and Orbit. So, and those were like the only travel websites back then. So I would sit there and like look for the best price flights for the family. And when I found something good, I would share it with my mom. I would call her and then she'd be like, book it. So I started very young, like in the travel, like just in the traveling in general. So I feel like it was always part of me for sure
Yeah,
since I was little.
so true, so true. Well, and the fact, I mean, you do have one specialty about you that, not a lot of people may even notice, but you actually travel by yourself. A lot of your trips are solo trips. And
Yes.
I mean, a lot of women don't travel for that exact reason, right? They avoid going by themselves at all costs.
Right.
So why is this okay? I mean, you obviously seem to enjoy it. I mean, we live vicariously through you. How are you okay with that?
I think that, the biggest thing I do love is solo travel. I feel like you find yourself in such another way. I think the biggest thing for me is when I did it once, I was like, holy cow, it was like a high almost. Like I was forced to meet so many people, so I never was alone. I've done so many group trips with friends and stuff, and it's like those are all great, but when you're mixed with multiple personalities, it's all about like, hey, are you hungry? Like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And so when you travel alone, it's like you just go where your body, because I'm a free spirit. So like you kind of just go where your body wants to go. Like if I wake up and I want to go eat, I'm not even going to ask anyone. I'm just going to get up and go eat. And like, then it becomes the thing of what do we eat? Which restaurant looks good? But you kind of just walk to where you're like, this looks good. I'm going to go in here. And you're like, you don't have to ask questions. You don't have to wait on anything. If you want to sleep in an extra day, like you're allowed to do that. And it's just so cool because that many more people want to know why you're traveling alone too. So you're like, you just meet so many more people versus being in like a clique of people,
Yeah.
So I love it. And I think the biggest thing for women is we have this fear of traveling alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really like, cause you just don't know. It's like the unknown. And,
Yeah.
I'm like, if you go to the grocery store alone, I'm pretty sure you can travel alone, you know?
I love it. No, and I mean, honestly, just watching you and watching you do that definitely gave me a whole new perspective because obviously there are so many single women out there who all like have this plans, like let me find a man and then I'll do this, let me wait for my best friend to be ready and then I'll do that. And that definitely eliminates that. It says, looking at you, you go, well, she's doing it. Why couldn't I? But I
Right.
mean, is there like there's obviously, and you've been to how many countries right now?
I am 57.
Oh my God, 57 countries, ladies. Take
Not
notes.
alone
So
though.
no, but I mean, it's fantastic. So if anybody needs pointers on going to all these different countries, we'll have Rizzo's connection point in the notes. So you can absolutely connect to her, reach out and ask some questions. But, there's obviously that safety concern for women as well. Can you give them some pointers on that? Because, I mean, that's probably one of their biggest fears that are out there.
Right. I mean, safety first always. And so even though I am tiny and feisty, I still have to worry about my own safety as well. But it's just about using our senses that we already have and that we're born with and just magnifying it a bit more when you're out of the country because just like I said, I wouldn't, I live in Scottsdale. I'm not going to go walk alleys in Scottsdale at night. Like it's just not what I would do on the normal. So I wouldn't expect to do that in another country. And so if you are going out, it's just taking taxis home, or if you're walking home, because a lot of countries in Europe, it's all walking distance. And so when I would leave out of a bar or something late at night, I would find a group of people walking and I would like mix with their group just so I wasn't walking the streets alone. So it's just about being aware of your surroundings a little bit more. And I just feel like naturally when you go out of the country, your like normal senses are just heightened like times 10 already. So it's
No,
just about being
absolutely.
smart. Yeah.
No, it's so true. I mean, yeah, it's like you're saying, whatever you do here or don't do here, do the same thing, but also obviously be aware and pay attention. No, so very true. But I mean, obviously everybody wants your highlight reel. Everybody loves going to see your pictures. They all see this absolutely stunning, you know, views and landscapes, and everybody wants that piece. What are some things that, for any boss babe out there who is considering to build a travel blog and traveling profile, what are some things that are not so glamorous that you actually deal with?
Me running through the airport every day of my life. I literally, travel is not easy. It's, yes, the destination is the best part, of course. Once you're actually sitting, on a beach or when you're in the country that you want to be in, but the travel time and depending on where you go, like I came back from St. Martin about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and that's the Caribbean. So for us, that's like, oh, that's a no brainer. That's an easy flight. You think like, max 8 to 10, 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being a 27-hour flight back. And
Oh
so
my God.
that is not glamorous after you
No.
just sat on the beach for 4 days. But it's part of, delays are expected and cancellations are expected. And sometimes if you're in Asia or if you're in Europe, it's not only an airplane that you're taking, but you're taking a train and you're taking public
Mm-hmm.
transportation around. And so there is, and the bags. I'm very good about packing a small bag, whether it's a suitcase, a carry-on, or my backpack that I backpack with. But I also travel with a lot of camera gear. So it's that
Mm-hmm.
much more stuff that I have to add on. And so sometimes I'm walking out of countries with like a backpack in the back, a backpack in the front, and then like all my shopping bags of things I've bought. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's travel for you. It's not always, my pictures look great, but like what did it take for me to get to that mountain? Like I probably had to hike 10 miles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's actually, yeah, that's my follow-up question. Your pictures do look great, but I mean, the reality of that is that you travel alone. So,
Yeah.
how do you get the pictures? That will be naturally, I'm thinking, everyone else's question. How do you get those amazing pictures? And I'm sure it's all on the first take.
I know. First take, one and done. I'm a professional. No. So when I first used to travel alone, before I got big into the photography side of things, I was no shame in asking somebody who walked by. And like that problem is you have to kind of like pick your poison, I guess. So like I would tend to look for more of a millennial, somebody with the camera around their neck. But there has been times where I had to ask, someone who looked like they definitely didn't know what they were doing. And I would look at the photo and be like, you basically didn't even get me in the photo. So I would wait for them to walk by, and then I would ask the next person walking by. So those are the days before I got like a tripod and stuff. So now I'm still not ashamed to ask people to take my photo, but now I just set up my tripod for the most part and do it myself.
No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a great advice. Don't be ashamed. I mean, get what you want. You're already in that country. You may never go back. People don't know you, so you might as well. I mean, get that shot, get that picture, get that content that you want. And speaking of content, as you know, a lot of people are getting into social media right now. They really want to increase their following. Obviously, they understand the power of having that tribe of people. And one thing I love about you is that you're uber consistent and then you're laser focused. Like when your profile is dialed in, there's no doubt about it. If you all haven't checked out her Instagram, we will absolutely put that in the show notes. You need to see it, ladies. I mean, that's when you have clarity. Her profile looks like she knows exactly who she's serving, what she wants to, sort of what message she wants everyone to see. So what are some advice, some tips that you have for them in terms of building that following? Because obviously everybody wants, everybody gets upset when they post 5 pictures and nothing happens.
The world of social media, it's forever changing. Of course, we all know that. But I think, like you said, biggest point is the message that we're bringing. Like, when you come to my profile, are you confused? Does it look like I'm, over here doing and I talked to you about this, like posting fitness. Like fitness is such a big part of my world, but I don't want to confuse the people by, traveling one day and fitness 24/7. It's just like, we have a lot of dimensions to us, but I think it should be clear when it goes to your page what you're like giving back to people. And if it's lifestyle, that's okay. That entails a lot of different things. But for me, like we just went out for Halloween and my girlfriend was like, post your picture. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like it's not, I'm not on a mountain. I'm not in another country. Like I don't have a reason to post that. So I think it's definitely true to be like true to your message to people. So you don't confuse who's coming to your profile. And then second is engagement. And we are at a weird place in social media where the algorithms are always changing and nobody who, is a pro at social media or Instagram before can understand what's happening with it now. And so I think engagement is still huge. And if you expect people to, or you want people to comment on your stuff, you should be commenting on their stuff and liking their stuff and really engaging with your network, because these are the people that are supporting you.
Yeah. And I mean, how long did it take you to sort of really get that dialed in, you would say?
So I started Instagram in 2011. But obviously back then no one knew what it was or what we were doing. It was just like post pictures, like post what you're doing. And so I would say my Instagram took off, or like I gauged it where I wanted it to be nearly 3 years ago now, a little over 3 years ago. And so then I just got consistent with the message I was giving to people, what I was giving back to people, and how I was, like you said, the layout of my photos turned into pretty much all for travel.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, I just want everybody to notice she didn't say 90 days. She didn't say, 3 months or 3 weeks. So don't get discouraged. I mean, it's a great message for you all. Don't get discouraged when you post that first video and you got your 20 comments or maybe 20 views. Don't be sitting there beating yourself down. Why is that I don't have 2,500 or 300? And also when you go to Rizo's profile, I don't want you to feel, you're literally comparing your day 1 or chapter 1 to her chapter 20. I mean, 3 years of consistency is obviously golden, but it also takes time, and it takes time to dial in exactly who you are, the kind of brands you want to work with, the kind of, people you want to come to your profile, because especially as women, we all know that we do get bombarded sometimes with all kinds of wrong messaging. And, if you're beautiful and if you post in certain things, people want to comment, but then you can get all kinds of wrong attention. So you just have to be laser focused on how you present in that. So now we've built in that content and built in that consistency and getting yourself to where you are now. Obviously a lot of questions, I would assume a lot of people would want to know, so what's next? Like, is your goal, are you getting brands reaching out to you? How do you work with them? Like, what are sort of like next steps in your vision?
Yeah, so it's actually been really exciting because I have been working with a lot more bigger brands now, which is just like that kind of, I don't want to say it came overnight, but for me, it's like, yeah, I've been doing this for 3 years and all of a sudden it was like, big brand is reaching out, big brand is reaching out. Like I just closed the
Mm-hmm.
Headspace campaign app and they're huge, huge meditation app, which again doesn't necessarily go with traveling, but I used it in a way that it made sense for traveling because
Mm-hmm.
when I'm on the road and I'm jet lagged, like what do? I pull out my sleep meditation app. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool to start working with these bigger brands, but more so I just did a Germany trip with the cruise line, and that was my first cruise, and that's like huge to me. So things like this that are now starting to fall into place, like I only want to do more and more, of course. So next is to continue to work with big brands and really target the brands that I want to work with. So
Right.
one of my biggest things, like advice wise, is people are so afraid of rejection, and I literally do not care about rejection. Like I'm like that's the only way I'm getting somewhere is if someone's telling me no. Like it's gonna force me to go somewhere else. So I think naturally, as humans, we don't want to hear no, and so we tend to not put ourselves out there. And in my kind of world, I mean, there are brands everywhere, and there's so many brands that are now turning to the social media market. And so
Mm-hmm.
they want to work with us, but maybe they don't know how to reach out to us, or maybe they haven't, they're like in the idea of like, let's work with an influencer, but how do we get there? And so I'm no shame and I will send out all the emails to multiple brands. And it's a numbers game to me. So if
100%.
I send out 10 emails and two of them, I land a deal out of one or two of them, I'm like, that's a success. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
I have no fear. Like, and those other 8 people that didn't even respond, maybe like that's rejection to some people. And to me, like that's already gone, you know,
Yeah. I love this. I mean, ladies, literally, this is gold right here. I hope you're taking notes
literally.
because that is so true. I mean, it's anything. It's business is business. People, people are busy. Everybody's building their own media following or whatever they need. But yeah, some of those brands, smaller brands, may have never worked with an influencer. So if you don't reach out to them, they may never reach out to you or may not reach out to you for many more months because they don't even know how. So,
Right.
and then bigger brands, yes, if they said no or didn't respond, that's just not right now. You can keep continuing to build your content, keep showing up, and eventually at some point, those people will come to you. So I love this. And yes, it is absolutely all in numbers game. It's just sending out those emails, asking basically if you, right, it's like they say, if you don't ask, it's 100% no. So
Exactly.
all you have to do is just keep asking and then getting those brands to come on board with you. And that's so true. So now in terms of when you are sort of deciding on like what brands appeal to you, how do you dial in that content? Like how do you reach out? And I'm asking that for, like I said, all those women who I'm sure want to know, because you can literally start working with brands today once you have consistency and the following happening. How do you sort of pick brands that you want to reach out to?
So for me, it comes down to when I first decided like what kind of brands do I want to work with? Like who do I want to reach out to? And it came down to for me to just like sit back and think like, what do I use on my day to day? What do I use when I'm traveling? Like, or is it somewhere I want to go? Is it a hotel company I want to work with? Something like that. So, for instance, Tevas. Some people say Teva, Teva, whatever the shoes. So I did a feature for a van company, Boho Vans, and
Mhm.
I did all angels landing in in my Tevas, so in sandals. And so when and I got so much feedback on it, they're like, "Can you really hike in those? Can you really like? Are they really comfortable?" And I like loved them, so I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And some people were like, "Tell me which pair you bought. I want to buy the same ones." And so and it clicked to me. I'm like, why am I not working with Teva? Like, and so I reached out to them and I got like an email for marketing and stuff. And so that's something that like just immediately made sense of like,
Right.
this is a brand I want to work with. So,
Mhm.
and they're a huge brand. And so then, if I'm hiking, I think of hiking shoes or like backpacking companies, things
Mhm.
like that. If I wanted to go on a cruise, I thought about all the cruise lines, and that's how I landed the Germany one. So it really just depends on what brands, if you're wearing it or if there's somewhere I want to go. If I want to go to Iceland, maybe I want to work with a van company. So I'm going to reach
Yeah.
out to all the van companies. So yeah, it's just kind of like, what do you do in your day to day, and like what are you really drawn to? Like, what do you want
Yeah.
from something?
No, I love it. And I mean, that's again a huge bonus because you're literally making it super authentic to you. And the
Yeah.
more authentic that advertising is, obviously for the brand, it's also a huge bonus because when people feel that authenticity, you went hiking in Tevez because you love them. You weren't
Yeah.
thinking, how can I get attention of the company? Yes, you thought about it later when all of it dawned on you, but it was so
Right.
natural. And that's why I think honestly, when working, and that's for everyone out there, when you guys are working with your brand, starts with the one, like she said, that feel the most authentic. Start with the ones that feel most day to day. You don't have to force yourself, post something that, because eventually it is going to crash and burn at the end. Like if you can only post your workout once because you only work out once a month, it's probably not a good, combination. But if you use ketchup 24/7,
Yeah,
that's, but it's so true because I was talking
it is.
to someone yesterday about Jenna Kutcher, who is amazing. And she's from Wisconsin originally, and she has an amazing product line and blog and teaches women, empowerment. But I literally was talking to a group of women and said, what does she love to eat? And everybody said mac and cheese. I mean, how crazy is that? Like some people weren't even sure what she does, but everybody knew that her favorite food was mac and cheese because it's so organic to her. She talks about it all the time. She shows that in her stories. So she could absolutely work with a mac and cheese brand. So, so
Totally.
find things that are organic, find things like I am known for pink and sparkles. So absolutely, if there is a brand out there that's pink and sparkles, that is absolutely going to be my call-in because I relate to that. And that's so normal and organic to me. So I love that advice that you gave them. Yes, find things that are, that matter to you day to day. So I mean, obviously you travel to all these countries and all these places. And I'm sure everybody asks you that question, but what are some of your favorite locations? Like for all the girls building travel profiles out there, if you had to give them like a couple of your favorites, what would you suggest? Where should they go?
Um, so my favorite continent, like I literally would live there. I love Asia so much, and I know it's a distance for sure. So I'm not saying like for your first trip, go
Yeah.
jump on a plane to Asia, even though that's what I did. It is so incredible out there. It's picturesque in every way, and the energy. It's so like New York times 10, and it's cheap. It's so cheap, so you get to do so many things that you maybe not necessarily couldn't afford to do in the US or in Europe, but it's just like you have to be more limited because maybe you can't just blow $1,000 on activities, but you go to Asia and you're spending probably $300 and you're doing everything. So like
Mm,
I really appreciate that aspect of Asia. But
mm-hmm.
so top favorites are going to be Bali, of course, Thailand, and then moving over to Europe. I love Portugal, which I'm a little biased because my family's from there, but I still
Aw.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Norway, Switzerland, all the mountain towns. But I think for the United States, it's also very easy to go to Canada and
Oh yeah.
go to Canada when it's not freezing. So go there in the summer. It is so stunning, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you can do in Canada and kind of still get the feel of being out of the country, but still like not too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for all of the women who are considering that, I mean, we also have to be real, right? I mean, how many days you would say you're out traveling a year? Would it be more than 6 months?
Yeah, I was gonna say I can break it down like month wise. So I would say I'm probably home nearly 2 weeks out of the month. Maybe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah, but that also comes with territory, right? If you're going to be
Yeah,
a travel guru and travel blogger and bring people all those destinations, part of that is going to be you being on the road a lot and you being jet
right.
lagged a lot. And like you said, it's not always glamorous and delays happen. And how many times have you lost your luggage or they lost your luggage?
So I don't check my luggage anymore, so they will not lose my bag.
Yep,
Um,
yep. No, I don't blame you. I don't check my luggage anymore either, and I don't even do international that often. But it's just a habit at this point. Yeah, I want
yeah,
my stuff. I
I
like
need
my stuff.
it.
No, that's awesome. I absolutely love it. So, if you were to I'm sure, like I said, everybody is, especially once they see your pictures, they're going to be mind blown and understand, really the expansiveness of the travel that you've done and the empire that you built. So if you were to give advice to a boss babe out there who's just sitting there with her 150 followers or contemplating, or maybe more, maybe she's sitting there with a few thousand, but she's really contemplating of laser focusing on building the travel, on becoming that travel blogger or that travel, person, the go-to, what advice would you give them?
A few things, like I said, if you're focusing on the Instagram aspect or social media aspect of it, go pick a few people that you like their profiles, aka it could be mine, it could be, any other travel blogger out there. Go see what they're doing, and not just see what they're doing, but look who they're engaging with. And so if those followers are following them and liking their pictures and commenting on their pictures, like chances are they're going to comment on another person that has good travel photography. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking, if I'm wanting to interact with new people, or I literally will go to a big travel blogger's website, or not website, Instagram their pictures and follow their followers too, and so that, but it's like back to the content thing, you need to be consistent. So you do need to be on the road. You do need to be traveling. And whether it's just taking down Arizona, or like, going every weekend, go hiking and showing all the mountains here, or like going up north and just really capturing what you can do, I guess. Yeah. I have access to the world more so it's easy. I always want to be gone and like figuring that out. But if you can only go to Arizona, then, take down Arizona and do it thoroughly. Mm-hmm. And just being thorough about it. And again, content has to be key, because we don't want to, I have a girlfriend who doesn't believe in editing her photos. And like, I'm not sitting there saying that like, I'm going to completely change my photo completely. But to me, like, part of photography is editing process. Yeah. So I do take that as a hobby, and I take it serious. So, and that's why my photos look, maybe a little bit more like spa. So
yeah, no, and that's so true. But it's part of your job. This is what you do. Yeah. Your goal is to visually entice people to go explore that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, no, I love all of that advice. So true, ladies. Absolutely. It's not always about being global travel. If you can start there, that shouldn't hold you back. You can be in any place, anywhere in the country, and showcase your town, everything around it, your region. There are people who travel in the US specifically. There are people who only focus on Airbnbs in the US. You can take any angle on travel. Yes, Riza is a queen, so she can, she's made it her point to go into 57 countries and more. But you literally can start. I don't want you to think that just because I can't afford global travel, I can't start traveling. You can literally do that anywhere and make it a point. Absolutely. No, I love it so much. You are absolutely such a sparkle. So I love being in your presence at all times. I'm so grateful to have you, and so excited for all these women to really meet you and get to know you. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.